What up, y'all? This is Tracy from Nerd Squish, and today we're going to talk about my top 10 traditionally animated Disney movies. I'm a 90s kid, and I was lucky enough to grow up during the Disney Renaissance. For those of you that don't know, the Disney Renaissance took place between 1989 and 1999, and it is believed to be one of the best eras of Disney animation. It was the company's return to producing critically and commercially successful animated films after decades of box office flops. And man, oh man, what a time to be alive. Traditional hand-drawn animation and the stuffed animal pit at the Disney store? Good times. There are many things lacking from modern Disney releases. Villains, originality, color, but the thing that they're lacking the most is traditional 2D hand-drawn animation. November 22nd, 1995 was the day that traditional animation died with the release of Toy Story. And this is not me hating on Toy Story, I love the original Toy Story. The point is, after the success of this movie, we got more and more computer animated movies, slowly killing the traditional 2D animation style. And I get it from the company's point of view. It was cheaper, it was faster, and people were excited about this new thing that they had never seen before. But it kills me inside because traditional animation is so much better. It can show unique styles and personality that 3D animation just can't capture. It's warmer, more expressive, and creative. They're taking hand-drawn characters on cell sheets and placing them on top of beautifully painted backgrounds. This is a form of fine art. So today I want to celebrate that with giving you my top 10 traditionally animated Disney movies. But before we get into that, if you're a returning viewer, hey, how you doing? Welcome back. And if you're new here, this is Nerd Squish, where we take everything spooky and we take everything nerdy and we squish it all together. So if you like Halloween, Disney, and pop culture, definitely hit that subscribe button so you can see more videos from us in the future. And without further ado,
it is time.
Starting off this list with number 10, we have The Emperor's New Groove. This is one of the more underrated Disney films, but this story about a self-centered emperor who accidentally gets turned into a llama by his ex-advisor has a direct connection to my funny bone. David Spade as Cusco is amazing, and I thoroughly enjoy seeing the relationship and the antics between him and the character Pacha, played by John Goodman. Who doesn't love John Goodman? Come on. But the real reason I love this movie is the character of Kronk. He's the goofy henchman of Yzma, and he easily steals every single scene that he's in. He makes amazing spinach puffs, speaks squirrel, and provides his own theme music. What's not to love? I will say that this one doesn't have the most beautiful animation of all the traditionally 2D animated films, but the story and the humor definitely bumped it up to number 10 on my list. Coming in at number 9, we have A Goofy Movie. This 1995 movie, following the story of Goofy and his son Max on a cross-country bonding trip, made this list for one real reason, and that is the absolute banger that is the song Eye to Eye. Even though this is not one of Disney's musical films, they understood the assignment, and they created one of the best songs of all time and a really, really cool fictional pop star. But there's honestly so many things to love about this movie. The evolution of Goofy and Max's relationship is both heartwarming and relatable. The Leaning Tower of Cheesa lives in my head rent-free. And Lester's Possum Park is equal parts horrifying and hilarious. This is another one that doesn't have the most stellar animation. However, it does have dancing Bigfoot, and that's gotta mean something. Coming in at number 8, we have Tarzan. This animated adaptation of the 1912 Tarzan of the Apes may have marked the end of the Disney Renaissance, but it provided one of the best Disney soundtracks of all time. Phil Collins put everything that he had into the songs that he provided for this film. And honestly, they're all amazing, but the standout is clearly You'll Be in My Heart, which is one of the most beautiful songs that I've ever heard in a Disney movie. My dad was a huge fan of this song and soundtrack, so for our father-daughter dance at my wedding, it was the song that we danced to. So it obviously holds a very special place in my heart. This is some of Disney's best animation. The shipwreck scene, the sunlight coming through the trees of the forest, love it. Coming in at number 7, we have Aladdin. This one is cool for many different reasons. The beautiful song, A Whole New World. Jasmine had a pet tiger, which is just cool. Like, every little girl saw this and was like, yep, I see my calling in life. I'm gonna be a princess and I'm gonna have a pet tiger, and that's that. But the real reason that this movie is on my list is Robin Williams' legendary performance as the genie. Williams ad-libbed so much while recording his voice for Genie that the animators had 16 hours worth of material to work with. Everything he says is heartfelt and hilarious. He delivered one of the best voice performances in history, making Genie one of the most entertaining Disney characters of all time. And the animation was on point. The scenes, both inside and outside of the Cave of Wonders, is stunning. And don't forget the scene during A Whole New World where they're on the magic carpet ride, flying in the clouds with the night sky. Absolutely gorgeous. Coming in at number 6, we have The Fox and the Hound. The oldest film on my list follows the story of an unlikely friendship between a fox and a hound dog. This movie tugs on my heartstrings hard. It's really difficult to watch such a beautiful relationship struggle because of instincts and social pressures. But the thing that's hardest to watch in this movie? Tweed giving in and leaving Todd in the woods. So unnecessarily sad. I love the fact that Copper the Bloodhound is voiced by 2 of my favorite actors, that being Corey Feldman, who voices the younger version of Copper, and Kurt Russell playing the older version. The colors and animation in this film just feel so warm. It sort of feels like staying by an older relative's house out in the country and eating a home-cooked meal. This movie is a beautiful and underrated Disney film. Coming in at number 5, we have The Little Mermaid. The first film of the Disney Renaissance, loosely based off of the 1837 Danish fairy tale by Hans Christian Andersen, had to make this list. We have a princess falling in love, musical numbers, an over-the-top villain. This is quintessential Disney. Every single song is amazing, and Ursula is easily one of the best villains in Disney's Rogues Gallery. This is one that was on constant rotation in my household, as it's my sister's favorite Disney movie. The thing that stands out about this one the most is the vibrant colors that are so fun to look at. The movement and animation of the water is absolutely amazing. And that scene where Ariel pops out of the water and flips her hair made an impression on every little kid that watched this film. And we all tried it, we just didn't look as cool. It's no wonder that this beautiful film is the movie that kicked off the Disney Renaissance. Coming in at number 4, we have Beauty and the Beast. One of the most beautiful Disney movies is based off of a French fairy tale, La Belle et la Bête. Everything about this movie is stunning. The opening scene of the forest and the castle in the background is one of the most beautiful animation scenes that I have ever seen. The music is romantic and fun. Watching Belle and the Beast slowly fall in love is an emotional roller coaster, and I love it. The ballroom scene is actually a combination of 3D and 2D animation, and it shows how the 2 animation styles can really work together to create something extraordinary. Now, every little girl wanted to be one of the princesses, and Belle is who I wanted to be. She lived in a castle with a werewolf-looking dude that gave her a giant library. It's honestly what dreams are made of. Is this movie why I'm obsessed with books and hairy guys with claws? Probably. Coming in at number 3, we have Hercules. This 1997 movie, inspired by Greek mythology, is one of the most original Disney animated films. First and foremost, the animation style stemming from classical Greek illustration stands out amongst the other Disney animated movies. While Disney is no stranger to having scary moments in their films, I feel like the scenes and imagery used in showing the underworld and the creatures that live there were truly terrifying, so that was kind of different to see. Another thing that made Hercules stand out is the character of Meg. She's sarcastic, independent, and magnetic, which makes her one of the most interesting female characters that we've seen in Disney history. The film has excellent humor, most of which comes from one of my favorite Disney villains, Hades. All the songs in the movie are fantastic, but the standout is definitely I Can Go the Distance. Every single time I hear it, I get choked up, and I just feel inspired to do something rad. And the animation in that scene? A work of art. Coming in at number 2, we have The Princess and the Frog. As someone born and raised in New Orleans, Louisiana, you knew that this had to be high up on my list. You can tell that they did a substantial amount of research for this movie because they managed to capture everything wonderful about my home. And Disney has a long history with the city of New Orleans. The audio animatronics that have become a staple in Disney parks is all because of a mechanical toy bird that Walt saw on a trip to New Orleans back in the 1950s. And obviously you can see in the parks, you have the Haunted Mansion, which clearly takes place in some St. Charles mansion. So there's a lot of love for New Orleans with Walt and his company, so it is amazing to see an animated love letter to the Big Easy. I remember when I first heard that they were making this movie, and I was ready to watch it and judge it harshly, because so often people just don't get it right. But when I heard the New Orleans legend, Dr. John, sing the lyrics, "You want to do some living before you die, do it down in New Orleans," well, I knew that movie was going to be amazing. All of the characters are fantastic. It's honestly hard to pick a favorite because they're all so great. It's Disney's last major hand-drawn feature, and they really went out with a bang because the animation is beautiful. From the Crescent City to the swamp, they got it right. And now the moment we've all been waiting for. Coming in at number 1, we have The Lion King. Or whatever they say there. As much as I've seen that movie, I should know what they say, but I don't. One of the most beautiful animated films of all time is the coming-of-age story of Simba the Lion King. Every single aspect of this movie is stunning. The story, the characters, the music, and the animation. It has no flaws in my opinion. The opening scene alone is enough to move me to tears. The sun rising over the African savanna, absolutely breathtaking. It finished its theatrical run as the highest grossing film of 1994. It won multiple awards, and it is to this day considered one of the highest grossing animated films of all time. And it's not hard to see why. I was 5 years old when this movie came out, and I was immediately in love. When you fall in love with a movie as a kid, your view on it can often change as you get older. But not this movie. I love this movie more every single time I watch it. Mufasa's death is still just as heartbreaking now as it was back in 1994. Memes and jokes about it? Still too soon. I may never recover from the tragedy. Anyway, the animation here is one of Disney's greatest accomplishments. The birds flying by waterfalls, the stars and the kings of the past in the night sky, Simba, Timon, and Pumbaa dancing across that log while the background changes from one beautiful scenery to the next. Gorgeous. And let's not forget the music here. Like all forms of the music, amazing. Like every single song is a banger. Not to mention, we had Elton John on the soundtrack. Not only is this my favorite Disney movie, but it's one of my favorite movies of any genre. So those are my favorite traditionally animated Disney films. Let me know in the comments what your favorite is. I miss the days of being excited about a new Disney release. There was just something so magical about a new Disney animated film. Now they just feel devoid of any magic. Even when the characters in the movies have magic. 3D animated films can be impressive with how real they can make things look. But you know, if I'm watching an animated film, I'm not here to see something real. I'm here to see something animated. And I feel like in recent animated films, there's so much effort put into making things look hyper realistic that the story kind of gets left behind. The lack of villains and making the story about real life issues is incredibly dull. So many of the recent films have been focused on family trauma, which I personally don't understand why I would pay money to see that. If I want family trauma, I don't need to buy a movie ticket or subscribe to a streaming service. I can just go visit family. That trauma's free. Now, there could be many factors adding to this feeling. I am clearly not the age or demographic that they're making these movies for. Now, that being said, there have been a few recent ones that I've really enjoyed. 2017's Coco is one of the most beautiful movies that I have seen from Disney in a long time. Even though it's 3D animation, it was beautiful, had amazing songs and great characters. It felt like a Disney movie from my generation, just with 3D animation. There have been a few others that have been moderately entertaining, like Turning Red and Onward, but even those kind of fail to capture the magic of old school Disney. I'm hoping that one day we will see the return of villains, originality, and 2D animation in Disney films. Until then, the movies that I've listed here today are the movies that I'll be watching on repeat to leave today and enter the world of yesterday, tomorrow, and fantasy. If you enjoyed this video, give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so when new videos hit the channel, you'll be notified. And as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you nerds in the 90s Disney Store stuffed animal pit.